Hello, Virgo. Welcome to your 2025 special year ahead forecast. We have so much to talk about. This is a year that I am characterizing for you as muddled transformation. And I will explain exactly why I am saying that. And, we start the year out with Mars still being retrograde. Mars, the planet of assertive drive, energy, went retrograde back on December 6th in the sign of Leo, which means it began the retrograde in your hidden 12th house. And on January 6th of this year, Mars is going to leave your 12th house and go into your 11th house of friendships and social alliances, where it finishes the retrograde. Mars will turn direct on February 23rd. So there is this interesting kind of slump that you're starting the new year in, to be honest, because Mars is not only retrograde, but it's retrograde in your hidden 12th house. So you might feel like you need some extra rest. You might be like, I don't really have the motivation for the whole New Year's resolutions and all that. And that's okay. Honor it, go with it, recharge. The retrograde in your 11th house might very much be about you considering why you're spending as much energy as you are in a specific social situation, whether it is a group or an organization you're affiliated with that no longer speaks to you, or a friendship where you feel like you've been giving so much and there's not enough reciprocity. So you're going to be correcting that in the beginning of the year, and that's the focus. But then from March until the end of May, we have a very interesting lineup that is influencing your seventh house and your eighth house specifically. So I'm going to take it from the top. On March 1st, Venus, the planet of love, beauty, harmony, relating, will go retrograde in the sign Aries. And originally, it begins the retrograde in your eighth house, which is a financial house, until the 27th. And during that pocket of time, you might realize that you have to rework some kind of financial situation, whether it is taking a more careful look at your taxes, considering if certain investments aren't doing very well for you. Maybe you want to reorganize that. Maybe you want to make sure that, this is a really good time actually to look at your debt and see if you can consolidate and get a lower interest rate. It's actually a very good time to do that during the Venus retrograde in your eighth house. So think about ways that you can save money with your debt, with big money situations. As far as making money, if you make money in passive income streams, royalties, commissions, it's bonus money. It's possible that you're not going to get as much as you thought you would if you're specifically getting this money between March 1st and the 27th. But after that, Venus will retrograde into your seventh house. And for you, that's the meteor part of this Venus retrograde, because until April 12th, Venus is going to be retrograde in your partnership sector, saying, hey, Virgo, what's going on with this relationship? What do we need to fix? Something isn't quite right in your relationship world, whether it is personal or in business connections. And it certainly could be both. But there is that retrograde Venus course correction happening during that time where you may be feeling less appreciated and valued in your partnership, and your partner may also be feeling the same. So you guys have to have this dialogue and get this all out on the table and figure out if you are delivering value in your relationship and if you are receiving the value from your partner. It's got to go both ways, guys. So that's what the majority of the Venus retrograde cycle is for you. It will be so interesting. And again, this doesn't have to be your personal life. This could be business and it could be both. Then, what also happens around this time period is on March 29th, we are getting a solar eclipse in Aries in your eighth house, which says, hey, there's a new opportunity for eighth house money, or there's a new opportunity for your spouse or partner with their money. And that is very interesting. But something happens the very next day that's even more monumental and will involve your seventh and your eighth houses. And this is the event that has not happened in our lifetime and will never happen again in our lifetime. It is the event of Neptune leaving the sign of Pisces and entering Aries for the first time in 165 years. This is a big deal. From March 30th until October 22nd, Neptune will touch Aries and your eighth house of joint finances, big money, and temporarily leave your seventh house of partnership. Now, Neptune will return to your seventh house after October 22nd and stays there until January 26th of 2026, after which Neptune fully enters your eighth house and stays there until 2039. Okay, so I know that was a mouthful. Let's break it down. Let's first talk about the fact that Neptune is leaving your seventh house for the first time in years, 14 years almost. What does that feel like? You've been living with Neptune in your seventh house for so long, you might not even recognize relationship dynamics without that influence of Neptune. And Neptune here has both spiritualized relationships for you, but also created a great amount of confusion, disappointment, maybe sacrifice, guilt, all of those issues relating to partnership matters that you've had to sort through. At its best, it could have been an inspirational soulmate dream come true relationship. But now, Neptune is leaving the seventh house, going into a new part of your chart. What does that feel like? All of a sudden, there's no Neptune connected to your partnership energy, which means you are probably seeing something crystal clear in your relationship world. And you're seeing this with crystal clarity at the very same time that Venus is now retrograde in your seventh house of partnership. So, whoa, it might hit you like a ton of bricks, guys. It might feel like, oh my gosh, I thought everything was so perfect in my relationship. And then all of a sudden, you're like blindsided by not being blinded anymore. And you and your partner are going to have to figure that out. That's going to be so interesting, I have to say. Doesn't mean that your relationship is ending or dissolving. It does mean that there has to be a course correction, but it's going to be a beautiful one, in my opinion, because it's going to be honest. There isn't any Neptunian confusion. As a matter of fact, Saturn is in your seventh house during this time period, encouraging you to be very mature and realistic and responsible about your relationship decisions. So, Neptune's going somewhere new now. What does that mean? What is Neptune going to do when it hits your eighth house? Okay, eighth house is other people's money. It's big money. It's credit, debt. It is investments, inheritance, settlement money, spouse's money. I'm going to get the negative out of the way just so that you could be proactive and protect yourself and not even worry about it. Just be prepared. That way you can deal with it if something happens. Neptune can dissolve what it touches. It can create a lot of confusion. It can create scandal. It can create disappointment. And with Neptune in your eighth house, there is sometimes the potential to be defrauded financially, to have your identity stolen, and for that to have ramifications financially for you. But there are ways to protect yourself. So I do recommend that every Virgo does this just to be proactive. I recommend that at some point before Neptune enters your eighth house on March 30th, you get some kind of identity theft protection package or service. And there's so many, you could look into them. Just, Google it. I'm not going to name brands or anything, but I think that's important for you. I would rather you have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And Neptune's going to be here for a long time. It's only giving you that little shout out in 2025, but why not have it all set up just in case? Because I have seen instances of Neptune in the eighth house where people have had their identity stolen. There have been some confusing, deceptive situations with finances, and defrauding is possible for some people. Again, I'm not saying this is going to happen to everybody. This is forewarned is forearmed. Figure it out, get a plan, and then forget about it and get on with your life and know that you're protected and have that comfort and security. Okay. So, what is the positive part of having Neptune in your eighth house? Well, Neptune in the eighth house is going to have you be a lot more intuitive about your investments. If you can channel that energy in a higher vibration spiritual way, you have an ability to trust your gut and to know, okay, I should go with this bank and not this bank, or this accountant might not be right for me. Let me talk to this accountant. Okay, so if you channel the higher vibration of Neptune, your intuition with financial decisions could be very sharp. Again, the shadow of this could also be that you are easily fooled and you want to do your research, do your due diligence before you get involved with anybody financially. Do your due diligence before you hire a financial advisor or an accountant. And don't rush into something that seems too good to be true with finances, because if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. It probably is not that dream come true. I'm going to get rich now because of this, or this great stock tip, or this amazing opportunity. Take everything with a bit of a grain of salt. Be objective, be deliberate, get another opinion, another set of eyes on things for your finances. And if you do that, and then you trust your intuition in a high vibration way, Neptune here can be very positive. Neptune here can be extremely positive, guys, if you plan on making money in any Neptune ruled field. So anything that connects to art, music, film, photography, the psychic spiritual realm, compassionate service, any of that, Neptune is great. Neptune also rules drugs and water and oil. So if you're in those industries and you have the ability to make bonus money or commissions through that, you might do very well. So Neptune in your eighth house does not have to be all negative. It really depends on what is that Neptune hitting in your birth chart. So I wanted to give you some of the possibilities here. And again, Neptune is going to leave your eighth house after October 22nd and go back into your seventh house. And the wrap up now with Neptune in your seventh house from late October till January of the following year is very much about that balancing act. Now that you know, what are you going to do about it? And you're not going to get fooled all over again. It's a real important lesson about there's soulmate love, and then there are love situations where we put ourselves in very difficult compromising positions, because with Neptune in the seventh house, sometimes we fall in love with potential and not who a person really is. So you have to replay that Maya Angelou quote to yourself over and over again when you're in a relationship and there's that little nagging feeling that something might be wrong, but you keep trying to push it away. The Maya Angelou quote is, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And as Neptune is finishing that tour of your seventh house, especially from late October to January of 2026, I think you're finally going to get that. And you're going to get really strong with that. So you'll get there if you haven't already. And if you have, and it's possible that you already have had this lesson, you might be in a relationship with someone who truly is your spiritual equal in so many ways, and maybe even raises you spiritually. And that would be wonderful. So I'm still not done talking about your seventh house and your eighth house, though, because we have another planet that's making changes here. Saturn has been in your seventh house for a couple of years and giving you a lot of responsibility, maturity lessons around relationships and relating. Interesting, because with Neptune and Saturn in your seventh house, the bubble might have burst already, and now you realize where the holes are in the relationship, and you have to decide if you're going to repair it or not. So the bubble may not be entirely done bursting, though. However, Saturn is also going to leave your seventh house from May 24th until September 1st. Saturn leaves your seventh house, and then after September 1st goes back into your seventh house until until February 14th of 2026. And that will be when Saturn gives you the final test and potentially a reward will be coming to you in relationship dynamics. If you've done the work, if you've been responsible and mature. And again, this is business and personal relationships. It's not one or the other, it could be both at the same time, since the seventh house rules these relationships. And you might find yourself in a long term commitment by the end of this transit because Saturn transits, they stand the test of time. And if you are in a broken commitment, you're going to know it and you're going to be walking away from it. And so much more echoes this because when we get to the eclipses later on, most of the eclipses are straddling your first and your seventh house, echoing this as a very big transitional year for you in relationship dynamics and your personality, yourself, which is why you're having this transformation. And the relationship uncertainty might be part of the reason why it's so muddled in the process of your transformation. So, what happens when Saturn gets to your eighth house? Well, now you are going to be asked by the universe to pick yourself up from your bootstraps and rely on your own resources more than ever. You might have a difficult time getting financial assistance from others, from lenders, from organizations. Maybe your spouse or partner will have a difficulty with their income and you're going to have to carry the weight for a while. Pay attention objectively to what Saturn and Neptune are doing in your life, in your reality, as it leaves your seventh house and enters your eighth house, and write it down, journal, document it. You're going to see some big, big themes connecting to relationships and eighth house money. With Saturn in the eighth house, you might get rejected for a mortgage, a line of credit, a car loan. There may be some kind of a denial, or there may be some kind of a difficulty with financial situations. But, big but here, remember, Saturn is trying to teach you responsibility and maturity in all eighth house matters. So if you roll your sleeves up and you say, okay, what do I have to do to make this situation work? Even if you don't like it, but you go through the steps, you will end up in a strong position of financial responsibility. So that is going to be a very interesting journey for you in 2025. Now let's talk about something totally different that's very positive, I believe. Even though you have all this interesting eighth house energy with other people's money and big money, I am not very worried about your earning capacity and your career progress this year because for the first half of the year, you have Jupiter, the planet of expansion and growth, in your 10th house of career. And that Jupiter transit is there very strong until June 9th of this year. Jupiter in the 10th house in Gemini is offering you multiple opportunities to grow in your profession or to go into another profession entirely and still have the first one. You can have a dual career path very successfully with Gemini there. And Jupiter is saying, let's blow this up. Let's basically see what sticks. Let's throw all these opportunities your way, Virgo, and let's see what sticks, what you can really make grow. And you are going to have those legitimate opportunities. And I really, overall, am not worried about the money that you're going to make. Unless you primarily make money through commissions, through passive income streams, or bonus money, if that's how you primarily make your money, then there may be a bit of a shift, a transition that you have to go through. But if it's just direct paycheck money, I don't see that really hurt in any way at all. Now, Jupiter goes into your 11th house after June 9th, and this is a really cool transit because Jupiter in the 11th house is extremely happy there. It is just so able to give you amazing benefits, and the benefits have to do with your social connections primarily. So, yes, you will attract friends with benefits and not the sexual kind necessarily. It's really about these people in your life now, in your social circle. They have the very best intentions for you. They want you to succeed, and they are going to be quite benevolent towards you. And since Jupiter will be in Cancer, This is a time period where from June 9th of 2025 until June 30th, 2026, you will find your tribe. If you don't already have your tribe, your people, in a social context, you are going to find your tribe, the friends that feel like family. It's a beautiful transit. The 11th house is also your greatest hopes, wishes, and dreams. And it is so possible that you will realize one of your greatest aspirations at some point during this Jupiter transit. And it's just so beautiful for you. So I'm going to go back to career because there is another planet that is changing signs in 2025, and it is so dynamic for you. Now I'm talking about the planet Uranus. So Uranus has been in your ninth house of expansion, beliefs, academic and spiritual pursuits, international matters since 2019. And on July 7th until November 7th, Uranus will temporarily leave your ninth house and go into your 10th house of career. And then after November 7th, we'll go back into your ninth house and stay there until April 26th of 2026, and then permanently leave your ninth house and go into your 10th house for several years, at least 7 years. What does this mean? As Uranus leaves your ninth house, pay attention to the following. Is there any chaos connected to international matters, educational pursuits, a legal matter, your philosophical beliefs that settles down and you find that there's no more chaos in that area of your life for a little while? Instead, the chaos and the liberation and the sudden change is now going into your career. Don't stress about this. This does not have to be negative. I have seen many people have Uranus transits to the 10th house, experience a sudden rise to fame, a sudden career pivot that ends up being amazingly successful. Remember, guys, this is about the math of your chart against a transit. And Uranus is only going to get to the first couple of degrees in 2025. Actually, let me tell you so that you can look in your birth chart. Uranus literally only gets to 1 degree, 27 minutes of Gemini. And then in September goes retrograde before it goes back into Taurus. So that really means that it's the first 3, maybe 4 degrees of Gemini and Virgo, if you have Virgo placements, that are going to be affected in a difficult way by this Uranus transit. And so for those of you who do have the sun or the ascendant in the first 4 degrees of Virgo, then yes, the Uranus transit to your 10th house will feel more jarring, more just like the rug got pulled out from underneath you and you're being forced into a different career shift or path. And that roller coaster ride might very well happen. But for the great majority of you, this year, it is more about a revolution. It is more about this electrifying excitement of possibility that is coming your way in career. And the more, even if you have the jarring career energy, again, the whole point of it is to liberate you, to get you unstuck, because maybe you've been in a very robotic phase in your career path and it's gotten so stale and you need to shake things up a little. Uranus is going to help you do that. But Uranus here very much wants to remind you that when you lean into your more progressive, non traditional approach professionally, you will succeed. Uranus is connected to technology, the sciences, inventions, any of that. If you can use that in your career path, wow, it gets super exciting. And there are so many opportunities ahead for you with that. So that's the Uranus transit. And then Uranus goes back into your ninth house, finishing up those ninth house lessons. Although I will say, I really don't think they're going to be difficult for you because Uranus and Taurus is making a kinder aspect to Virgo energy. So this is more exciting and liberating, and your beliefs are your mind has opened up so much over the last several years, and you're going to just keep enjoying that. And if you are involved in any advanced academic study, for a license, a certification, an advanced degree, you may be finishing it up, and then you're going to be able to take that knowledge or that new degree and launch right into a totally different career path, which would make sense with Uranus going from the ninth house to the 10th house. So you see, this doesn't have to be negative. I think it's going to be very, very exciting. Now let's talk about the eclipses because this is more of the relationship identity transformation that you're going through. On March 14th, there is going to be a lunar eclipse in your sign at 23 degrees, and this eclipse is opposite Saturn in your seventh house of partnership. What you're doing at this eclipse, Virgo, is you are ready to release, to let go of some of the more unhealthy traits that you have in your personality that you know do not serve you and that you don't want to carry with you anymore. So, some examples of this might be if you are very self critical, if you're very critical of others to a point where you create relationship problems, if you're self deprecating, even if you are so focused on making something perfect that there's no more joy in it, that might be an extreme that you have to let go of. So this eclipse is letting go and ending of something connected to your personality, your identity, and this could also be, a physical change for you that no longer serves you. And as you do that, you may run into some problems from someone else because either a business associate or your personal partner or a client, they're so used to seeing you one way that as you try to go through this transformation, they may try to block it or limit you or tell you, no, we don't like you this way. We don't want this version of you. And you're going to have to fight against that. And that's going to be very interesting. And some of you may decide to walk away at that point from a relationship if your identity is not being honored and your transformation is not being honored. It is no accident that that eclipse is the March 14th eclipse. And then everything else I talked about from March through May, it incredible energies activating your seventh house and then leaving your seventh house with the Venus retrograde and with Neptune and Saturn. Very interesting turning point right at that eclipse in March. And then the other eclipse we already talked about, March 29th in Aries in your eighth house. Then in September, we have two more eclipses. On September 7th, there is a lunar eclipse in Pisces, which falls in your partnership sector. And that eclipse can be really fulfilling. It can bring a fulfillment, a sealing of a new partnership. If this does bring an ending, it's putting you in a new direction because this is a North Node eclipse. But a lot of you are going to feel a great fulfillment, I believe, with relationship dynamics. And then the eclipse on September 21st happens at 29 degrees in your sign and is also opposite Saturn. And that eclipse is where this big transformation for you, you're ready. It reaches a critical point where you absolutely have to express it, and you will. And you're ready to do it. And you are not going to be stopped. Not even that Saturn can stop you because this is the 29th degree of Virgo. It is a critical degree. And that transformation, it's a new beginning. This is a solar eclipse. It has to happen. So you're going to have a magnificent, dynamic year, Virgo. And I can't wait to see who you end up becoming and how you navigate this transformation, how you navigate your relationship changes. And it's just, the magic is not in other people. Remember, the magic is really in you, and you've had it inside of you all along.